they're such a well-balanced team, and Thomas Tuchel's spoken very well about what a difference Lukaku makes to them. He's turning draws into wins, basically. You know, without him, they might not have won the other night. You know, against Aston Villa at the weekend, they weren't at their best. He scores 2 goals. You know, this is the difference a striker like him can make.
The buzz is crazy, isn't it? As soon as the ball goes anywhere near him, the crowd, all those Chelsea fans, is immediately singing.
There was a roar when his name was read out on Tuesday evening, and it continued through the whole game. Every time he touched the ball, everything he did, it was a buzz of anticipation. You know, people expected something from him, and he delivered.
Yeah, crazy stat is he's the top scorer at Stamford Bridge under Thomas Tuchel, and I think he's just arrived.
Well, if you look at last season, obviously, as well as Chelsea did, there was an issue around goal scoring. I mean, obviously, Jorginho was the leading goal scorer, defensive,
all penalties.
Effectively, defensive midfielder. So it was a big issue for them because they were creating chances, and it's been an issue for Chelsea for about 2 or 3 years. Actually, it was the same under Frank Lampard and even with Maurizio Sarri as well. So to get a striker of the calibre of Lukaku in at this stage, they paid an awful lot of money for him. But I mean, honestly, that will look like. He looked cheap by the end of the season. He's going to score, what, 30 goals probably? And that could be the difference for them becoming not just Champions League team again, but winning the league, winning the Premier League.
Zenit tried, I suppose, you know, the hatchet job, put 3 men on him. Eventually he scored. How are Spurs going to approach trying to stop him scoring, Lukaku?
Probably similarly, I imagine. You know, I mean, they're going to have to double up on him, and that will create space for other players. You know, and that's the danger because, as you say, Zenit did very, very well, but he got away one chance, he got away and he scored, and that will be the problem for Tottenham. Can they allow him to have that one chance? They will probably double up on him. They've obviously got their issues in central defence in terms of absentees and injuries and so on, so they're going to have issues there. And Tanganga's obviously suspended as well, so it's going to be difficult for Tottenham to try and contain him. I think they'll take a very similar approach to the game against Manchester City, but the problem is Chelsea are quite cute. They won't come on to Tottenham the way that Man City didn't let them hit them on the break. So I think it's a very, very tough game for Tottenham tactically, as you say. How do they stop Lukaku, but also how do they approach the game overall?
And in general, there's such a good feeling at Chelsea at the moment under Thomas Tuchel. All the players want to play for him. He's making them all feel important. The likes of Rudiger, Marcos Alonso, even Mateo Kovacic, who weren't really playing under Frank Lampard, have just done so well this season under Tuchel. Yeah,
I mean, it happens obviously with some managers. It looked like under Frank Lampard, as you say, those players were perhaps a little less important. Rudiger was on his way out, really. Alonso was up for sale as well. And now they're central players. Obviously, Ben Chilwell can't get a game because Alonso's playing quite well. Rudiger is now such an important player. Again, a talisman in that defence, a real leader as well. And I think quite an outspoken player at times in the dressing room. And I think that maybe there was a bit of a personality clash between him and Lampard. Tuchel's rehabilitating him back into the team, and obviously Chelsea are now desperate to sign up to a new contract.
There is an article here, actually, in the Telegraph. Matt Law speaking about Antonio Rudiger. His contract is up at the end of this season. They say PSG want him, Real Madrid want him. Does he want to leave Chelsea, though?
Well, I think the cards are all in his hand, aren't they, really? I think it's up to him what he wants to do. Obviously, his contract is running down. This time last year, he was on his way out. Chelsea didn't want him. Lampard didn't want him. He wasn't playing. That will be in his head. You know, I mean, obviously, he's a smart guy. He's going to say, well, OK, fine, you know, you didn't want me this time last year. I've come in and done well and played very well under Thomas Tuchel, who desperately wants him to stay. So he will be trying to eke out a bit more money out of them. I think, for example, if he goes to one of those clubs on a free transfer, he's going to get more salary. So I think that will be the negotiation. Chelsea will have to cough up, and obviously Lukaku's come in on a big salary. Rudiger will see that as well. Think, well, I'm your main defensive player. You need to pay me a bit more.
Cheap, you said. Lukaku's cheap.
Yeah,
97.5 is nothing for him.
Yeah, well, I think it will prove to be quite cheap at the end of the day, which sounds remarkable because they paid almost £100 million for him.
In terms of the other games, you know, in the Champions League, you've been hitting the road. You're at Liverpool last night for that 3-2 win over AC Milan. You know, focusing on the game, writing the match report. What stood out for you from that performance from Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool's perspective?
It felt like the Liverpool of old was back. It felt like a big European night. It felt like the energy from the crowd really got them over the line. It felt like it was a gamble not to play Van Dijk. That almost backfired with what happened just before half-time. But really, I think it's, you know, it's one of those evenings where it's a privilege to be at Anfield. You see those European, the atmosphere you get for these ties. Milan played quite well. I think they're a bit overawed at the start. It could have been 3 or 4-0 to Liverpool. They have that kind of almost force of nature approach on some of these games. And it does feel like they are back. You know, it does feel like they are back. And the players are back. Obviously, the atmosphere, the fans and everything else. So it was a really special evening, I think.
We do have a tweet here saying, as long as Tuchel is at Chelsea, they can defend the Champions League trophy. There's a good vibe around the squad. Who's going to get to that final, St. Petersburg?
I honestly wouldn't write off Chelsea. I think I would agree with the person who's tweeted there. I think Bayern Munich are looking incredibly strong. So I think it will probably be PSG, Bayern Munich, and an English team, or possibly even 2 Premier League teams again. I wouldn't write off a repeat of last season's final with Man City and Chelsea.